Folks, welcome back to another SLA video. All right, guys, I've got no sleep today, so we're just going to jump right into this and talk a little bit about yesterday. I know it was a long stream. We had 5 or 6 hours worth of content to cover and quite a bit to discuss with the new anniversary happening. And of course, quote unquote, the evolution of the game, which really, at the end of the day, has some evolution. It also kind of was mislabeled, but we're going to talk all about that and discuss exactly what we need to discuss and talk about what this means for the future of the game and the good and the bad that's going to come with it. I think it's really important to discuss this in a fair manner because I know a lot of you guys are upset and many of you guys are actually super happy. So let's discuss what we have to discuss. Now, first off, before I do that, please remember to use the codes. If you don't have the codes yet, they were in the last video, but I'll put them up right here. So there's final winner, welcome SLC. They'll of course be pinned in the description and the chat. EVO start, to the moon, we love you, 2000, CodeKingZaff, PBGIFT. These are our Zaffs, my gift for hosting the SLC. And then of course, this one here will be ready for May the 6th. So make sure you do it. Plus guys, content creator program is back next week, I think it's May 6th. So maybe a week and a half. So get ready for more codes coming your way. The first code we're going to provide you guys is in fact going to be another 1,000 essence stones through that. So we finally were able to fight the good fight and get you guys good codes again through the content creator program. And we apologize. We've been trying our best to make it happen. And finally, shout out to CM Prism for making that occur for us because it was something that we all felt needed to happen again. So again, more essence stones coming your way. Now, don't forget, guys, we did do a full breakdown yesterday, and I want to kind of go deeper into this. Now, the word evolution was tossed around quite heavily here to promote the second anniversary, the second coming of SLC, and there are some evolutionary things that are going to occur, and then we're going to talk about one of them right now. Let's talk about Myro. So if you guys don't know, Myro was introduced as a successor class. It's not even a class. It's more just a new system. Let's call it a system, and essentially the successor system is something that will integrate with Jinnu himself. So when Myro does get released, it won't be a banner. So I hope you guys understand. It will be Baron's successor here. You guys will see Baron here does in fact give Myro a weapon. This is from yesterday's stream. Gives the great sword, the Demon King sword, right? And she takes it willingly. And it's funny because she gets to get summoned from pretty much another plane. And she gets to come and take over for Sun Jinnu as a successor of Baron to help him do battle. So you will actually control her in battle for a limited period of time. And this will be the brand new Remnant system that you'll be able to see and use. And you guys can see her in combat. She is actually pretty fluid. She does carry a great sword. She is going to be wind attribute. And she is the first successor of the White Flames. Period. The first successor system in the game. So this is going to be something that is in fact evolutionary, something that is different and something that we've never seen before. So get ready for that. Now let's talk a little bit about the system itself. I'll tell you guys everything you need to know about it. So first off, she will be sharing all of his weapon power, all of his stats, all of his equipment, etc. So you will not need to have her equipped. You will not need to summon for weapons. You will not need to give her cores, any of that jazz. She feeds right off of his stats. So essentially, it's a swap. Right? So he's going to go out, she's going to take over. And what I mean by this, by swap, is, you know, the Remnant system here that we have with the Monarchs, which in my opinion is probably the worst system in the game. It's lazy and it's not really intuitive. Well, she is going to live in this system as a successor. And right here under Baron, I'm assuming she will take over. You can probably switch them in and out. I'm hoping. So my theory here, it's a theory of course, is that everyone here is going to have a successor that you can swap between that. So you can either probably have, this again, it's a theory, you can either have the Breaker in terms of the Monarchs, or you can replace them with the successor, and then the successor will actually be summoned in as a unit you can use during the battle. Now this is not as I mentioned, this is not a banner. This will be something you'll have to collect over time. I'm not sure what the acquisition is going to be for it, but they did mention it's going to take some time, and she is in fact a wind element, so she has her own element, and she's a revenge unit. So there's going to be a lot of cool things added. And that to me is an evolution of the system. That's great. That is actually evolution. So kudos to that. They are evolving the gameplay as well too. They're giving us endless content apparently, so that we're going to see what that is. So that's also evolution. Now where the evolution term kind of became a little bit weird is the fact that none of the hunters are actually evolving. We are getting a brand new class in Liu, right? We talked about that as well. And that's a fairly big deal for a lot of us because a lot of people feel like this is now Liu, the first fire elemental brawler, or sorry, buster. Call him a brawler, sorry, other game. So Liu will be the first buster, and these busters are essentially burst damage dealers. So essentially they'll power up their energy, and then they'll just do one massive attack. It'll do insane amounts of damage, and they're going to be the perfect synergy for the stackers, which are your overload units, right? So this is the burst right here. You guys can see they'll do a massive amount of damage. So this is another class that's being introduced. Now, this one here is interesting because we all feel as though infusers replace support and breakers practically, and we're feeling like, many of us feel like I guess, busters will be replacing strikers, right? Now, I think that will indeed be the case for quite some time. Like, let's not get it twisted. Liu's probably the most popular character to ever come out for solo leveling, and being who he is, they're gonna want to push this really heavily. But here's my concern, and I want to be honest with you guys. I have a really, really big concern here. So let's talk about a little bit of history here, and maybe you guys can chime in the comment section on this one and see if I'm maybe losing my mind. So number one, the first ever ultimate unit that came out, I believe was Thomas, maybe Charlotte, but Thomas was a big one that can transform, right? And he was able to do his ultimate pretty often. He was a national level hunter. We thought he was incredible in the beginning. He got replaced pretty quickly, right? All right, fast forward a little bit now. The next national level hunter that came out was Christopher Reed, also the first ever infuser, the worst infuser in the game at the moment. I think we can all agree with that. That's true. Also national level hunter, also the first of his kind, also got replaced pretty instantly. Not replaced, but he was pretty much made look bad by the other infusers, right? And now we have Antoine coming as an infuser for light, which I think will do well because he's, we already have kind of a pretty solid light team. But here's where the catch is. Liu, being who he is going to sell on his own. Doesn't matter what he was. He could have been a grandpa, could have been, I don't know. I don't want to say anything else that's inappropriate. I've only had 1 hour of sleep, but he could have been anything and they would have sold. I think they're really relying on the national level hunter name to just make the sales. I'm not saying that he's going to be bad, but there is a little bit of history here, right? There's a little trend that when a national level hunter comes out and it's the first of its kind, which we already have 3 of kind of, this might also be a situation where this is the first buster, but might also be replaced by another new buster because the content might not fit Liu, right? So that's kind of where my concern is. Now, I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong. Again, I'm just following trends, right? So this is another evolution, of course, the striker becoming a buster, and the buster most likely going to be the new main DPS. And then all that's left now is who do you put in your third slot? Now, many of you guys said we should make a 4-hunter team. I disagree with that completely. I would hate to do that because that's more resources, more summoning, more etc., etc., etc. It would make the game more diverse, but it's also a lot more complicated, and it would make more mechanics for bosses that we would have to deal with. And of course, then the TP would go up again, and it'd be just a whole nightmare. So I feel like the four man team is not a great idea. I think it's too much already as it is. With 3, I think three is perfect. I think 4 would be too much. But also keeping in mind that there are places for breakers, for example, like BOT, Battlefield of Trials. There's no infusers that can be used there. There's no element there, so breakers still have a place. Battlefield of Trials is another one where breakers still have a place. So there are places specifically made for these units, but the end game, the most important game content is going to be probably revolving around these new busters and as well as these brand new infusers, right? So that's going to happen. Now, yes, let's be honest. Does it suck? Absolutely, when it comes down to resources. That's why they're giving out so many Essence Stones, right? If you really think about it, this is why we're getting so many Essence Stones shoved down our throats now, because they're like, oh, shoot, we have a lot of things coming, and we got to make sure that, people just don't end up leaving us because of all these new mechanics and new systems. There's also the pet system that's not even out yet. That's also supposed to be coming out soon. So, there's a lot to look forward to. Now, I don't want to be negative. Zaff and I had a chat about this, and Zaff likes to be more positive. I like to be more of a realist. I think I like to call them out when it needs to be called out, because it's one of those things where if we don't call them out and this behavior is awarded or rewarded, then it's going to continue. But in this case, I don't really see anything I want to say right now, because I just want to wait and see what happens, right? Because this always ends up happening. We all kind of have a panic moment, and then we kind of be like, oh, okay, it wasn't that bad. And this also has to change now. We have like 5 slots here. I'm curious where the buster is going to go. Like, are they going to put a little arrow over so we can move? That's probably what's going to end up happening. So the first fire team had the first elemental stacker ever. Now they're going to have the first buster ever as well too. So it'll be very interesting to see, guys, what goes down. But I'm really curious to know your comments and what you guys think about all this. I think the evolution part was good and bad. There is definitely some evolution, but there's definitely some wordplay here for newer and returning players. And you know what? Honestly, I'm glad they're allowing new and returning players to catch up, because that will allow more people to play end game content, which means more guilds will be able to recruit, and that'll keep some of the older guilds with that who are having a hard time recruiting alive. And that's an important part of the game, is guilds play a major part in this game, and they should continue doing so. All right, guys. Again, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.